similar frustrations. How much can you relate? How much do you guys ever talk about that during the season? What was it like just watching him?
You talk about it a little bit, but you just know for him as a guy that we traded for, and not many of our fans really knowing his game and knowing much about him and how much he makes us better when he's healthy. He said it was tough. He had days where he doubted a little bit. He had days where he was a little depressed because he was working so hard all year to get back. It just something wasn't clicking in his body to allow him to keep playing consistently. So it helped that we were winning throughout the process, so that the mood in the locker room was better, and he could still have a presence in our locker room, but just being patient in the process. And we need him now more than ever. So that whole 3 or 4 month period where he was in and out, coming in early doing his rehab, missing trips to try to get back, it made it all worth it. I think now that he's having an imprint on a team that's making a postseason run.
And given all that, Tim Duncan, Splitter, those guys, how important could he be in this series?
He's huge. I mean, just look at Game 4 and 6. The difference between those two games and Game 5, how we started. Just his presence means a lot. And for a team that has a dominant back to the basket guy like Tim Duncan, a bruiser like Splitter is, working alongside Tim, even some of the guys they have off the bench. So we need his presence. I don't know how the matchups will be and what lineups we'll be able to throw out there. So he's going to be a huge factor in the series.
Andrew talked about how Coach Jackson, when he first got here, he would sit down and have lunch with you guys for 2 or 3 hours, and he'd never seen anything like that. Is there something that you've noticed about him that's very distinctive that helps him build a rapport with you guys?
I mean, his experience as a player, knowing what guys are going through mentally and physically throughout the course of a season, he's plugged in. You see he's present. You see him, like you said, in our team room this morning even. There's me, Harrison, 2 assistant coaches, and Coach Jackson just chopping it up about what's going on in the sports world, talking about actually we're talking about Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, who's funnier this morning, like just random stuff like that. He's present, and he wants to get to know his players, and he wants to kind of feel day to day what's going on, so that he has a better idea how to lead this team. So he's the most consistent guy in this organization, and I think he's just been huge for us to change the identity of this team and get us where we are now.
Okay, so Chappelle or Rock, which side did you stand on?
Well, he was saying you have to differentiate. Is it stand-up, or is it like sketch comedy, or is it TV shows, that kind of deal? He said stand-up probably Chris Rock, sketch comedy probably Dave Chappelle. That was my opinion. He said Chris Rock the whole way through. I like to argue that, but we'll see.
Your coach mentioned to us that the way you and Andrew have been playing, that he might consider getting a shot just to get one. On a more serious
He's been making great coaching decisions. I don't know if he needs any help, but that's pretty funny.
More serious, how much did you study, and how much did you have to be reassured before you actually did that? Had you done that in any of your other years?
No, that was my first time, and you rely on and trust the experience and information you get from your athletic training staff and the team doctors that deal with this stuff day in, day out. Obviously, it's a little nerve-wracking going into that first time, because you don't know how you're going to feel and how you'll respond the next day. So, thankfully it worked out, and there won't be any long-term risks involved with that, since it's just a heavy dose of anti-inflammatory medicine that will get the job done in the short term.
You hope not to have to get another one.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're taking them, it means something's wrong. So you don't want to have that buffer in between you and feeling good on the court. So like I said, this would be a huge opportunity for us to get some rest over these next 3 days.
Could you think there's a chance you might take another one or two if you keep playing?
If something happens, I mean, I won't be a stranger to it. But in a perfect world, these next 3 days will be rejuvenated, and all the aches and pains, somewhat will be gone, and we'll be back to just your regular preparation for a game, and get ready for another series.
What's that training room like with you guys all in there?
Well, like I said, there's so many bumps and bruises throughout the course of now we've played 88 games. You know, it's more just kind of comedy in there, really. You know, who's got what? You know, ice machines running like crazy. Our two athletic training staff guys are doing a great job of keeping it light so that we have fun while we're in there and getting productive treatment. But it's not like a death room in there. Just trying to make sure we all understand we're all getting ready to go out and play.
When you watch David out there, does it actually just make you feel a little bit better when he's out there?
Dude, that was amazing last night. I mean, it was kind of weird at first because he was checking in, and then Coach Carl called a timeout, and he went back to the bench, and then he came in again, and just each time the crowd gave him a standing ovation. Just it's a special moment for a guy like that who hadn't played at home. The unfortunate injury, obviously, that everybody knows about, and he had a chance to just give us a minute and a half and inspire the team and the fans. So, you don't know what it's going to be like next series. He's going to continue to get treatment and try to figure out how he can help in the short term. And he's gotten a lot of great advice from team doctors and the people he's talked to about where his injury stands. So we'll see what happens. Just kind of leave that open to him and Coach. But it was amazing last night to see his impact on the atmosphere just for that short amount of time.
You talked about your coach making good decisions. I realize that might be a general statement about getting you through 6 tough playoff games. But is there any specific decision, or are there some that really stood out for you as helpful in the series?
I mean, just the way we responded after D-Lee got hurt and the lineups he's decided to put out there. And from games 2 through 4, we stuck with that small lineup starting the game with Jared in there. And then Coach Carl made an adjustment to try to go a little bigger in his starting lineup. And Coach had to make a decision. We were going to stick with what we were doing games 2 through 4 or go with what was best to line up against their starting 5. And he put Carl back in games 6, I think, yeah. And, I think that put Jarrett back in his position of, knowing where his minutes were going to come from and allowing him to have an impact with the different rotations that we have, and that Carl could match up with those bigger guys down low. And that was the way that they were going to thrive off second chance points. We played great defense in the half court, but gave up a lot of offensive rebounds. So the fact that he made that adjustment when we needed it was huge.
When did you first hear that David might actually try to play?
Like 30 minutes before the game. I saw him put his warm-up on. Like, I've seen him, his preparation or his routine before games is the same since he's been out. He'll go through some treatment before, do a couple activation exercises that he needs to do just to protect his injury, regardless of if he was going to try to play or not. And he does some cardio, and then all of a sudden after the team meeting, I saw him put his warm-up on, and I saw Dwayne Jones had a suit on, and I knew something was up because.
So there was no formal announcement?
It was just a decision between him and Coach, and after I asked him, like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm warming up. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, I'm going to see what I can give you. So he came out, got some 2-line layups, inspired the crowd, and then I still didn't know whether Coach was going to play him or not. And after a dead ball, you look over to the side and you see D-Lee taking his warm-up off and running to the scorer's table. It was pretty cool.
Would you mind telling us what kind of medication is in the painkilling shot that you get?
I actually do not know the medical term for it. It's just a heavy dose of anti-inflammatory that has a 6-hour working window, and it's not a painkiller per se where you go numb in a certain area so that you feel everything, but it just takes the edge off of your soreness, and just gives you an opportunity to feel somewhat normal while you're out there playing.
A little stronger than Tylenol.
Yeah. It doesn't put you in jeopardy to get hurt any more than you are, so you don't feel like I can feel my leg and my ankles. I can feel everything. It feels normal out there. It just takes the edge off of the soreness that you have, but it does come back pretty quick after it wears off.
Did they put it directly in the ankle, or did they put it higher up?
You can get it's just a shot. You can get it anywhere.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, guys have had it in different areas on their body, and it works for pretty much anything.
Is there anything about your coach's approach that you think has made it easier for the rookies to develop on this team?
I think that, the same answer of him being just so present and such a personable guy. I mean, the coach, he's gained the trust of every player on this team, and he really lets it clear, makes it clear what your role is on the team. Our first game in Phoenix on the road, he went during shoot around. He went around the whole room and pointed everybody out and told them how, if they did X and X and X, that our team would be successful. And I think those three things for each person has really shaped how they approach the season, and has really made a difference because everybody knows how they can help this team on a day-to-day basis. So you really attach to those principles, and if you do those things well, we're going to be a good team. And I think that's happened all year.
Would those three things